It's a brilliant, brilliant book, one of the best I read last year. So, I could go on for a long back. Well, I Swim Two Birds is probably my favourite, by Flann O'Brien. It's probably my favourite. Molly Keane, a series of terrific books, very, very funny. They're the ones that spring to mind at the moment. Yeah. Dubliners.
Catherine Dunn. Catherine Dunn.
Sorry?
Catherine Dunn.
Catherine Dunn, yeah, well again, Catherine's a great friend of mine, I've known her most of my life, so yeah, another great writer. I read the first few pages. like everyone else in the room, let's face it. I've read Ulysses twice. So there. And it's a great, great book. Yeah.
In general, how do you react to academic work that's done on fiction?
I don't, because I actually don't read it. And it's not, if you like, it's not there in front of me, so I don't read it, and it's not a world I occupy. And I'm not particularly interested. I was told, somebody said, oh, 4 papers this weekend were about your work. And I said, oh, is that right? But I didn't say, what did they say? I think it'd be a bit unhealthy for me to start wondering what they say. Coping with reviews of books is enough to keep somebody. I try to ignore them, but it's not easy when somebody texts you, don't read the review. Whatever you do, don't read it. LOL. Sorry, but FO. FO-LOL. Follow. Is that a new one? Grand, we've invented something for you. So I'm not aware of it. There was a couple of books written, I know, and I've sent copies, but I started reading one and I just felt, this isn't about, I don't know this person. And I felt I'd better off not reading it. It's not to dismiss the work at all, but I'm better off just staying away from it. I kind of feel it's quite a compliment, I suppose. Even negative stuff is quite a compliment. But there was one brilliant, in a moment of weakness, I can't remember why, I think I put up something on Facebook and it led to something, there was a blog about best or worst Irish writers. And I started looking at the comments and there was a guy who said, don't make me laugh, the commitment is utter rubbish. Grand. Somebody said, no it isn't. And the other guy, yes it is, and the snapper is even worse. Grand. And then later on, and the van, what a travesty. And Paddy Clark, how did that thing win the... And I thought, what a life. This guy has read all my books. He's hated every one of them. I'm straying from your question a bit, but I thought I'd get it off my chest. Any others?
What do you think about the whole phenomenon of e-books and self-publishing?
Well, yeah, e-books and self-publishing, they're different things really in a way, or you could deal with them differently. I published myself and a friend of mine who's here tonight, John Sutton, published The Commitments. And it was a great experience, just a brilliant experience. Even if it hadn't been as, if you like, successful as it became, I wouldn't regret a minute of it. Because I wanted the book, I loved books, I wanted to see this published, I felt strongly that it was good enough to be published. So I did it myself, and I think times were a bit more innocent and perhaps a little bit more generous because nobody called it vanity publishing. Nobody sneered at it. If they sneered, they didn't like it, and that's grand. But nobody kind of said, oh, he's doing that because nobody would publish him. Nobody really, and it ended up on being reviewed in the papers and being given the same, respect as any other book would have been given. So I think really, if you really, really want your book in your hand and you just want to put it under your nose and sniff it, as book lovers often do, why wouldn't you do it? People might advise you against it, but it actually opened doors for me because having got the book, I was able to put it in envelopes and send it to publishers who mightn't have looked at the manuscript, and they actually looked at it. Now we're dealing with 25 years ago, so times have changed. There were people employed in publishing houses to look at unsolicited manuscripts, as they call them, the slush pile. They threw them in a corner and somebody came in and looked at them, and I was lucky enough that a woman working with Heinemann in London read the Commitments and liked it and handed it on to my now publisher Dan Franklin. So there's always an element of luck, always an element of luck. Who's in that day? So it's all, that luck thing is always there. But if you want people to read your stuff, why wouldn't you? And we all, there's plenty of cases of people who published e-books and they've ended up being, you know, like published more conventionally. Isn't there one on the long list at the Booker Prize that was originally an e-book? And people are poo-pooing about that. It shouldn't be included, and I would not be one of those. So it depends. That's the answer. Really, you know, like a lot of answers, it depends. But the experience for me was a hugely positive one. Not because I'm now standing here with my 10th book, but because at the time it was a fantastic experience. And something that I can look back very, very fondly at and trust my memory. You know what I mean?
And what about audiobooks? Are any of your books audiobooks?
Yeah, most of them, if not all of them, are available in audiobooks. And I don't listen to them myself, I really can't. And I did one of them and I didn't enjoy the experience. So A Star Called Henry, I read it. I didn't enjoy the experience. I felt a professional actor should do it. So I think most of the novels have been audiobooks or are audiobooks, and I was a bit dismissive of it in a way. You know, I never paid it much attention. And I remember a young man telling me that he knew my books, but he couldn't read, but he'd had the audiobooks, and I remember feeling a bit slapped that how arrogant of me to dismiss it. So I'm lucky in that I had people like Brendan Gleeson, and in the kids' books, you know, one of my kids' books is read by Tommy Tiernan. You know, there's a marriage maiden, some heavenly version of hell. You know, brilliant job he did as well. So I'm lucky that the calibre of the books, or you know, the little bits I've listened to are really, really good. And Lorcan Greenwich read my short stories, Bullfighting, and I listened to 2 of them. I'm contradicting what I said earlier on. I listened to 2 of them, and they did a great, great job. So it's a different skill or experience, I suppose. Yeah, and I know plenty of people who listen to books as they're driving, and you know, leaving aside people who just can't, for various reasons, read. And I'd imagine if I was in a hospital, and you know, for example, listening to a book would be a terrific experience. Yeah. So yes, I'm lucky enough that they're all audio. Any more? Yeah.
Just in terms of process again, do you like people to read your books as you're writing them, or do you?
No, the question of do I like people to read as I write? No, I don't. Quite the opposite. And I think you know, as the years have gone on, and the wise thing is not even, from my point of view, is not even to talk about them, because I feel that somebody says, "What's your new book about?" That's rarely actually the point of the book. It's how you do it, not what you do. And also when I start talking about it, I can feel it falling away. It sounds so facile. You know, I'm trying to summarise, you know, fairly, you know, regardless of quality, a fairly hefty piece of work, trying to summarise it in a few sentences in the pub just doesn't work really. Unless it's somebody you really know and they get it, you know. So no, I don't, you know, when I hand over an adult novel to my publisher, as far as I'm concerned, it's finished. And I wouldn't hand it over if it wasn't. But I'm always open to editorial ideas, but as far as I'm concerned, I've taken it as far as I can go. Children's books I'm a bit more open, because almost invariably editorial ideas on the books I've written for children have produced better books. So I don't know what it is, maybe it's the limits of my imagination, or maybe I can't corral the children's stuff, it's a little bit unfinished or unstarted sometimes, you know, or that the editorial ideas nudge me to write more and usually better, and invite me to do more things, you know. So they're 2 different worlds. But the adult stuff, no. You know, the notion of sharing work and you know, no, not for me. Which is not to say it's a bad thing, but it's not for me. Any more? Yeah.
Quick question. The film adaptations of your book, did you get involved with the director, or have you any input into it?
Do you mean emotionally?
You go down and you have to write a film director or actor or anything like
Well, yes and no is the answer to the question. It depends on the project, you know. First of all, I have to say that the last film I was involved in as an adaptation of the book, The Band, was filmed in 1996, I think, so it's quite a long time ago, it's 17 years ago, so I'm not up to date. But say with the commitments, no, Alan Parker was announced luckily as the director, and all the choices were Alan's. I co-wrote the script. I wrote a version, and then Dick Clement and Ian Lafrene wrote a version on top of mine, and it worked out like a co-written thing. But we didn't sit in a room, the three of us, together. Some of my version ended up, as was. Some then were almost like two things knit together. And some of the scenes I had nothing to do with whatsoever. So it was co-written, but when it came to choosing cast or anything like that, I had no input whatsoever. With the Snapper, I had a bit more control, I suppose. Myself and Linda Miles, who co-produced the Commitments and produced the Snapper and the band, we thought, the BBC were keen to do it, and we thought grand, and we had right of choice. But Linda was a friend of Stephen Frears, and he read the script and he loved it. So, you're not going to stay up all night wondering, is Stephen Frears a suitable man to do the job? And no, he was. He was great. And he would ask me, but I would never contractually position myself to be involved in the choice of cast. If I'm wanted, yeah. But in the same with the Commitments musical. If I'm wanted, yeah. But no, my expertise, if there is such a thing, is what's written on the page. It's the foundation, and other people build it. But if I feel it's going badly wrong, I'll have a discreet word with people or whatever. But by and large, I keep my mouth shut unless I'm asked something. And luckily, I suppose there's a certain wisdom in choice. So some things can go badly wrong, but others, you quite often end up working with people who see things much the same way as yourself somehow. And but no, other than writing the script, but there's a point. The novel, for example, it's mine. The copyright is mine. You have the right to read it, you have the right to pass it on, you have the right to do, whatever. But I own it. Now, if I write a script, even if, as I happened, I formed for the band, myself and Linda formed our own company to do the band. But at a certain point, contractually, I become an employee of the company. And if you don't accept that, it's not going to happen. So you do hand it over, and you become one of the many people involved. And if you enter into the spirit of the thing, that's great. Nothing wrong. I think as years go on, there's nothing wrong with failure. It beats the thing not happening in the first place. You'd rather have success, obviously. But so no, I hate to hamper the thing by insisting